On the phone, we have former Pittsburgh Steeler and NFL Hall of Famer Rod Woodson. How you doing, Mr. Woodson?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. So how did you end up going to Purdue?
Purdue was just, I knew I wanted to play in the Big Ten. All the other visits I took in the Big Ten were Michigan, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Illinois. And then my last visit was to Arizona State. Purdue was far enough away from home, but close enough to be at home. And honestly, it was really the only school that offered me or gave me the chance to play as a freshman and have a starting job.
What was the Purdue campus like back then?
It's a beautiful campus. It's very similar to what it is right now. A lot of new buildings. A great education. Purdue is one of the only schools in the FBS, FBS, that doesn't get money from the school for their sports. So they have to get everything from their boosters. Just one of those schools that, for me, it was a great atmosphere. It was a lot of kids going to school there. The underbody, what about over 25,000 kids there. But the education is great. The environment was great. We had some great coaches too.
Most athletes, when they go to college, want to major in communications or art appreciation. You were an electrical engineer.
No, that's a myth. Everybody, I tried to get into our engineering school, did not make it into the engineering school. Went to our supervision school instead, which is in our management school, and was in supervision. My junior year, I switched my major and my minor from criminology was my major, and my minor was supervision.
It says one of the reasons you went to Purdue was you wanted to also play on offense, not just be a defensive back and kick returner. How important was that?
Well, I think Purdue was a lot of reasons I went. I also went because they were going to allow me to run track indoors when football was not being played, and so I got to do that. And they gave me an opportunity to be a kick returner. When I first got there, I was not, because we had Mel Gray, who played in the National Football League for quite a while. Mel was a great kick returner and a running back for the Boilermakers. And then once he left, they gave me that opportunity, so I cherished that. And then allowing me to play multiple positions on offense back then was another opportunity for me, which is another reason why I went to Purdue.
Purdue's always known for the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, the Len Dawsons, Bob Greasy's, Drew Brees when he retires. Any thought about you playing quarterback there?
No. It is the creative quarterbacks, is what they call it. We have a lot of respect for all the quarterbacks that have come through Purdue. A lot of great individuals have come through Purdue and done a lot of great things in a lot of different fields. For me, I was a positional player. I wanted to play either a skill position on offense, be a receiver, running back, or a skill position on defense, and they chose to put me at free safety there, and I enjoyed it.
You mentioned you also ran track. How hard was it not to compete in the '84 Olympics?
Well, it was not the '84 Olympics. It would have been '88 Olympics.
'88. Sorry.
It would have been tough. When I first got my professional status in football, I couldn't get my amateur status back in track and field. So that was tough. The one thing I love about track is not it's a sport that doesn't have a lot of the clock is going to tell you how good you are, and your jumps is going to tell you how good you are. But the coaches can't tell you. They can't say, I think this guy's a good player and I think he should play. It's not built on that. It's not built that way. I think it's built on just performing at your best, and the clock can tell you how good you are. That's why I really loved it. So not being able to have an opportunity to be in the trials, it did hurt. But my first love was football. I was playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and my dream did come true at that point.
Did you enjoy returning kicks more or playing defensive back?
Well, I think I enjoyed both. returning kicks when they had, a handful of opportunities per game. For defensive back, you're on the field probably 60, 65, 70 times within a game, depending on if you can stop the offense. Defensive back was my first love, but, returning kicks was just another way to help your football team win football games.
Did you know you were going to get drafted by the Steelers?
No, I did not. It's one of the one teams in that 87 draft that I did not talk to. They didn't believe that I would drop down to the 10th spot. I didn't believe I would drop down to the 10th spot, but there were some picks ahead of me that kind of made me drop down, and I'm glad I did. I learned a lot of great football while I was there. I had a lot of great teachers while I was there, and a lot of people who taught me some things outside of football, how to live life the right way. And so I was blessed to just be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization.
Who was the leader of the Steelers when you joined them on defense?
When I first got there was David Little, the middle linebacker. He was still there. He was the team captain on the defensive side of it. Chili Bowl was still there for the Steelers. Mike Webster was still there. He was in his last couple of years. John Stallworth was still there. Donnie Shell was still there playing. Chuck Noll was the head coach. Tony Dungy was the defensive back coach and the defensive coordinator. So we had a lot. There was a lot of history still playing for the Steelers when I got there in 1987. So all I had to do was try to come in and learn the game.
Was there a lot of pressure on you to be the next Mel Blount? No,
Mel Blount is Mel Blount. That's a guy. I think he's the best corner to ever play in the National Football League. I've met a guy that big that can run that way. Mel is every bit of 6'4", runs like a deer. When you handle receivers the way he was handling them, and they made this new rule where they can only chuck or touch a receiver the first 5 yards, you're doing something to disrupt the offense. They made that rule up for Mel Blount. I think he's an awesome player, great individual. No, they just wanted me to come in and be me, and be the best Rod Woodson I could be. And I was blessed, honestly, to have a lot of great teachers. Talent's only one thing. Chuck Noll told me the second week while I was there, everybody's talented in the National Football League, but it's the player who can take what's given to them mentally and apply it back to the field, because the game's played 85% mental.
What was Chuck Noll like to play for?
He was different than Bill Cowher. I think I caught him on the last end of his career, but his coaching career, he was more of a analytical thinker. He loved reading books, and he would read different passages from each book that he read and use it to motivate us in his fashion, and it worked. He won multiple Super Bowls that way. I think he's a tremendous coach.
And Tony Dungy, he became a phenom there, but he really knew defense starting at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that Tampa 2, we ran a version of that in Pittsburgh. So, Tony is a great individual, a great human being. He did a lot of great things in his career, but it started there as a coach, and the way he treated his players from day one all the way through is something that you have to admire of him.
And then how did the culture change when Bill Cowher became the Steeler coach?
Well, just more football-oriented. It's all football. Bill Cowher, he was a young head coach. The great thing that what Bill did is that he put a great staff together. Our defensive staff, we had Dom Capers and Dick LeBeau. And then Dom left eventually, and Dick LeBeau comes in, and then you have John Fox. John Fox was a couple years before that. So then you had Martin Lewis come in. So we had a lot of great coaches come through there. Bill was just a fiery guy. He was honest. He was true. If he said something was going to be done, it was done. And he earned our trust doing that way.
And let's not forget Mean Joe Green.
Well, Mean Joe was there prior to Bill getting there. So when I first got there, Mean Joe Green was there as a coach, and he was mean. He was a mean coach, and I love watching the highlights of him still because he has that nasty attitude. But he's a great individual. He's a great coach, and more so than anything, he's a great man.
He hated that nickname.
Yeah, he hated the nickname, but when he started playing football and the way he played, something clicked in him, and he was nasty. And you like playing with guys who have that edge about them, and me and Joe had that.
Who gave you the toughest time to cover?
Well, when I first came in the league, it was probably Webster Slaughter. I played him twice a year, every year for the Cleveland Browns. He was one of those small receivers that was quick and create separation from the DBs, and big receivers didn't really bother me. It was the smaller, quick receivers who can try to create separation and get in and out of their breaks faster than normal. For those guys, I think it would be Webster Slaughter.
What made the Steelers defense so successful? Was it one particular coach or was it the players?
No, I think it's both. It goes hand in hand. You need a system. But your system needs players. And at the end of the day, players have to make plays on the field. Coaches make their calls. They play within the system. Every player tries to bring their own uniqueness to the game. I think the great defensive coordinators, such as Dick LeBeau, he allows individuals to bring their own uniqueness to the game. He doesn't distract that. He doesn't. He's not worried about that. He embraces it, and I think one of the main reasons why when I played, were really, really good is because, first of all, his system was outstanding, but he allowed players to do certain things that they could get it done.
You were in 3 Super Bowls. Did you have a favorite?
No, I only won 1 Super Bowl. I went to 3.
You went to 3, right?
Right, I went to 3. I went to 3 with my first one was with the Steelers. In '95, we lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Then I won one with the Baltimore Ravens against the Giants in 2000. And then in 2002, I went back with the Raiders, and we lost to Tampa. My favorite would be the one I won with the Baltimore Ravens, because anytime the confetti comes down and it's yours, that means you're the best at what you're doing.
When you went to that first Super Bowl, though, you came off a knee injury from the beginning of the year. You tore your ACL and came back to play. How hard was that?
Well, it was, first of all, I have to give all the credit to Bill Cowher, who left the roster spot open for me, because back then, if you went on IR, you were on IR all year. You're done. Without him giving me the light at the end of the tunnel, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So, it's a lot of work. I mean, when you come back from an injury, no matter if you try to come back from the same year or the following year, it's a lot of work. For me, it was a lot of work. I tried to get my knee stronger, but really, only thing I really strengthened was the other parts of my legs, because the knee's only going to heal when it heals. But it was fun to do. I would do it all over again, because you never know when you're going to play in a Super Bowl.
The first guy, I remember doing it was you. A lot of people talked about Jerry Rice doing it, but again, you did it before Jerry did it.
Well, Jerry did it, but you got to remember, Jerry got hurt as soon as he came back. So I was on that team with Jerry in '97 with the 49ers, where he got hurt the first game of the year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He tries to come back. I think it's the second or third game of the end of the year, and then it's probably, about the 15th or 20th play of the game where he hurts his knee again. It's tough to do. It really is. But given the opportunity, you see the modern technology with modern medicine, a lot of guys are starting to do it more because coaches are giving them an opportunity to do so.
What was it like when you went to the 49ers in 97? What was that team like?
It was a great team. A lot of great players. I believe our defensive team, every defensive starter went to the Pro Bowl at some time in their career. We had Jerry Rice. We had some great players. Steve Young was on offense. Had some really good running backs. It's just one of those things. It was that one year, though, or really a couple years, that the 49ers could not beat the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't until a couple years later where Terrell Owens caught that ball between two defenders where they kind of got that monkey off their back and made that win. But it was a great team. It was a great opportunity. It was, Eddie DeBarlo was still there, a part of the team. So being a part of that and being a part of his family, it was an awesome experience.
I mean, you played for some great owners in the Rooneys, DeBartolos, and also with the Raiders with Al Davis. Was there any similarities between the three?
No, they're all old school owners. They own the teams in different ways. They show love to their players in different ways. But the one thing they did do is that they treated everybody as a family, and that's something that all the old school owners had in common. I don't know if all the new school owners do it that way. They see the game differently. But the old school guys that I've been a part of treated everybody on their team as a part of their family, which was it was an old way of doing it, and it's probably the best way to do it.
How hard was it making the transition from being a cornerback to safety?
It's definitely a transition. When you play corner, you play really from the side view, your whole career. And then we play at safety, you play everything from the front view. Basically, I call it the all-22 view because you can see everybody. Normally at corner, you can't see everything. You can't see sometimes where the running backs are lined up. You can't see everything that's going on in the middle of the line. But at safety, you can. So that's probably the biggest difference. I probably the second biggest thing is just tackling angles. Normally from corner, you're always tackling from an angle. And at safety, you're always tackling head on.
A lot of people don't want to play safety. They say it's too dangerous compared to cornerback. Do you agree?
No. I mean, I've never heard anybody say playing safety is dangerous. It's fun. And you play a physical sport. It's different challenges at two different positions. It's hard to make the transition from corner to safety or vice versa if you want to be the best at your game. But, for me, God gave me a lot of gifts naturally, and luckily for me, I had a lot of great teachers to help me out through that process of my playing for 17 years.
You have to be smart, and the other guy who did it was Ronnie Lott, a USC guy.
Yep, Ronnie did it, but he went from corner to safety. He moved pretty early in his career. I think it was like after his fourth year or something of that nature. Ronnie, I think Ronnie's probably the best safety to ever play in the National Football League. He can cover ground. He's a great hitter. He was one of the players in this league, in the history of the league, where he could set the tone with his hits. And when you find safeties like that, they're very valuable to a football team.
Did you like hitting the guys hard, or you basically didn't want to hit them that hard? Like, it seemed like Ronnie Lott enjoyed it.
Well, I think he did. I don't know if I was ever the best cover guy. I don't know if I was the hardest hitter. I was trying to be the best all-around DB that I can be. I love playing corner. I love playing nickel. I love playing dime. I love playing free safety. I love playing strong safety. So, I love doing everything that was giving me a challenge, and hopefully the coaches will give me that opportunity. But hitting hard, you try to make yourself notice. And sometimes the only way to do that is to put the other opponent on his back.
When you joined that Baltimore Ravens team, how good was that defense? You think it was the greatest of all time?
Well, not when I first got there. I got there in '98. We finished 6-10. The following year, we finished 8-8. And then the third year, everything kind of clicked in. We had a lot of great leaders at each position. I think Ray Lewis started to become the leader that we all know he was by the time he retired. I think arguably for the one single year, you could say we were one of the better defenses ever to play in the National Football League. We broke the 86 Bears scoring defense record by 20-some points. That's hard to do in the National Football League. I think we had 4 or 5 shutouts that year. We had a 5-game stretch where our offense didn't score a touchdown, and we won 2 of those games. So I think that bodes that we were a pretty good defense.
Was your defensive coordinator Rob Ryan?
No, our defense coordinator was Marvin Lewis.
Okay.
Rob was the D-line coach. Rob was the D-line coach, and Jack Del Rio was a linebacker coach.
Those are some intense guys.
They're very intense. We have good staff. I think when you put good staff together, great things happen for a football team. And there was a very good staff in Baltimore when we played, and we won the Super Bowl.
What defense did you run in Baltimore?
We were a 4-3 defense. Well, we were kind of a hybrid. We were 4-3. We ran a Okie front sometimes, which is a 3-man front. So we would slide in and out of our 4-man front to our 3-man front.
Everybody talks about that 86 defense, but that 85 Bear defense was more intense, and that was because of Buddy Ryan. It seems like that Ryan family just knows how to coordinate a defense.
Yeah, well, the 85 Bears won the Super Bowl, but the 86 Bears defense had the scoring record the following year. But it was a great defense. I mean, Buddy Ryan, he was very intense. He ran that 4-6 defense. Those guys got after opposing offenses, and you're right. The Ryan family has a family tree of being good defensive coordinators. I think everybody saw now that Rob Ryan, he's also a good defensive coordinator after what he's done going over to the Saints this past year.
You had 71 interceptions, third all time. Did you ever think, I want to keep playing and go for the record?
Well, I was going to play one more year, but, things happened the way they happened. I got hurt. I got out of the game when I had to get out. I played 17 great years. Most guys don't get to play that.
You made 11 Pro Bowls, and then you were named to the all-time team and also one of the 100 greatest players. What did those awards mean to you?
Everybody has a list. Everybody wants to rate players. The ultimate individual award that I receive is going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know how you rate every single player that's come through the National Football League. They even want to rank Hall of Famers. I don't know how people do that. But at the end of the day, I came in playing a game that I love to play. I've been playing it since I've been 9 years old. And people said I was good at it. They want to rank different players. All I want to do is be the best Rod Woodson I could be, on and off the field. I had some great mentors on and off the field. And, I enjoyed my time of being in the National Football League.
How did it feel when you found out you're going in the Hall of Fame?
It was a great accomplishment. It was a great honor. You only have 200-some-odd people in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how many of those guys are contributors. I don't know how many of those guys are natural players that played. But when you think about the history of how long the league has been played, pro football has been played, it's just a great honor. One of the out of 200-some people of the history of the game being in that room, I never thought I would be that. Never thought that wasn't my dream. But I give a lot of credit to my coaches and my mentors who I've had on and off the field, and they helped me accomplish that.
Is there a player you patterned yourself after growing up?
No. I liked the Cleveland Browns growing up a little bit because of cardiac kids, and I kind of fell in love with the Oakland Raiders just for the way they played football, but not individually. I didn't look at one person.
Who would you say the greatest player of all time was?
I don't know how you rank the greatest player of all time. Everybody wants to rank offensive player up there because quarterbacks have a win-loss record. I don't know how you do that. I think there's a lot of great players who have played in the National Football League. I think there's a lot of great players who have made their mark in the National Football League. And, I just don't know how you rank one over everybody else.
The guy I'd like to see you tackle back in the day would be Jim Brown. That would be something.
Jim was a big guy. He was a man playing among boys, 8-time rushing title holder. I don't know how you would make. I don't know how you tackle a guy like that. A guy that big, that fast, that strong. He's agile enough to run around you, and he's mean enough to run over you. So that's a heck of a combination.
I'll tell you one thing. Everybody says about Jim Brown, you go from Bob Lilly to Sam Huff. They basically said the guy was the size of defensive lineman but could run like a 4.2. There was no way to stop him.
Well, that's why he had so many rushing titles.
He was incredible. And then when I was at the Hall of Fame last year, someone looked at me and said at the Gold Jacket dinner, Jim Brown's the only one not wearing a gold jacket. I wonder why. And I looked at them and said, he's Jim Brown. He goes by his own drum.
Jim, yeah, everybody goes by their own beat, but Jim definitely does. He's been through a lot in his life. He's seen a lot in his life, and a lot of people respect that.
Do you ever think that you want to be a head coach in the NFL?
Well, it's, I think everybody who's ever coached in any capacity wants to be a head coach and give it a shot to see if they can do it or not. Some can, some can't. If I ever got back into coaching, that definitely would be a desire, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.